Welcome to Six Tackles with Gus. Great to be with you as we look at round 22, which might be a little damp. It's very wet and cold in Sydney this week. We're here thanks to Tab. We've got plenty to talk about. Welcome, Gus.
Matthew Thompson, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad I wore my big jacket this morning. I've been soaked.
Very
coming
cold.
from the car.
Very cold, very wet. How's your voice after all the swimming this week?
Yes, fighting fit, going well. Late nights, but good fun. You've probably been too busy, wouldn't have seen a lot. Gee, last night was unbelievable swimming. Molly O'Callaghan, gold in the 200 freestyle. And then later in the night, Leon Marchand, the great Frenchman, broke the world record in the 200 IM by a second and a half. Did you see that? He's unbelievable.
I watched the mixed relay. I've never seen a mixed relay before.
That's chaos, isn't it? Absolute chaos.
How long's that been on?
10 years or so?
Has it?
Yeah.
I've never seen it before.
Yeah. It's all strategic.
So how do they decide who swims what leg?
You can make a decision on whoever swims what leg.
Right.
Yeah. So Australia led off with Kaylee last night, who's clearly the best backstroker in the world, but she was about 12 metres behind after 100 metres. So then...
Yeah.
Yes, the engaging thing about that is generally the complexion of the race changes very quickly depending on who's in the pool.
So which are the harder strokes? I'd say butterfly and breaststroke, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the guys I call with, Thorpe and Ariane. How good's Ariane, by the way?
They're both very good.
Oh.
They're both very, very good.
But Arnie's only in the infancy of her
I met
commentary
him
career.
the
She's
other day.
so
A bit of a
good.
thrill. I'd never met him before.
Hadn't you really?
No. He was in at the studio the other day.
Yeah, he's a
I love his,
bona fide
love his
superstar.
commentary. He's an expert's expert. Very, very good.
Yeah. So, yes, great swimming and a lot more to come. I think Kyle Chalmers will win the 100. He looks fantastic.
When's that?
Tonight.
I'll be out, Matthew. I'm busy.
You look very dapper today. What are you doing?
I got a lot on
You got
today.
secret meetings on.
I've got meetings all day.
Have you?
I've got a luncheon to go to. I've got a board meeting today. I've got a corporate speaking thing tonight for the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And then I've got a secret meeting about 9 o'clock.
A 9 p.m. secret meeting.
See, when all the media's gone to sleep, we're having secret meetings.
That's when you do your best work.
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
Very busy time of year, Matthew. A lot happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, we should tell us about it.
A lot happening behind the
What's your luncheon today?
Cure the Future Foundation, Cancer Foundation. Diane Langmax asked me to come along and speak at the luncheon. So,
Very nice.
it's a very important cause. Board meeting. Got a player manager meeting this morning. And it's been like that for ages. It's very, very busy at the moment. Very, very busy.
Rugby 360 is on the hunt and the Melbourne Storm are in their sights. We've got the grudge match in a few days' time, Sunday afternoon. Lachlan Galvin versus the West Tigers. The Tigers have had a little bit to say this morning, although not what you would expect, they would say. Wonder what Gus is expecting on Sunday. And how good are the Canberra Raiders of 2025? I've got some numbers that might shock you as to how they're going. We've got the Ampol power surge. I'm going to throw back to Gus's era. Talk about wet weather. Plus Ask Gus and a preview of round 22. Let's get into it. Daniel Tupou, try-scoring marvel, 34 years of age now. He's moved to outright fifth on the all-time try-scoring list. 283 games, 177 tries, 13 tries this season. My question is he the ultimate quiet achiever?
Well, he certainly is. Very humble, very quiet man, and has been an outstanding performer for the Roosters for a long period of time. You know, over the years, there's always been suggestions that maybe it was time to move on, or maybe they were looking for something younger and coming through. And when it gets around to contract time, they think about it and then they re-sign him. And I still don't think he's done yet. He's just been a tremendous performer, them so reliable, representative class winger, great defensive player, scores try. Poor fella bombed one last week that might have won him the game, but
Well, that was a sort of difficult put down.
Yeah, it was in the corner. Yeah, difficult.
But the two before, like, what about his aerial acrobatics?
His
He was the original aerial expert, wasn't he?
He was the target. Yeah, absolutely, he was the target. Yeah, he's been a really quiet achiever. I've got to say, I've never really spoken to him. I've met him, obviously, but I've never really spoken to him that much, so I don't know much about him. But Roosters players speak glowingly of him. The club loves him, and Yeah, he'll probably be one of those that retires on his own terms. It'll just be how long he wants to keep going.
Yeah, he was considering, I think, moving to Japanese rugby at the start of this year. But I don't. Have the Roosters signed him again for another 12 months?
I don't know, but I suggest they will. I think that they've always been mindful that they wanted him to earn more money because he's always played for less when he's played for the Roosters. So they sort of didn't want to stand in his way of earning money, but he's always been comfortable with the money he's on and re-signed at the club. So he's, he understands what salary cap is and keeping, he relies on the rest of the team to get him the ball. He's got to have good players inside him. So he's been very, very sensible about his career. But they've always been a bit mindful of the fact that he could probably earn more money elsewhere, earn money in rugby or go overseas and do that. And that may still be an option for him. I said he's still playing very, very well. He looks sprightly.
Rugby 360.
Yeah, maybe, if it ever gets off the ground.
You're not meeting with them, are you?
No, I'm certainly not. I'm too old for rugby.
You don't think it's a bit too old to make a code switch?
Yeah.
They might be looking for someone to run the thing.
They don't need broken down old coaches.
After the weekend's results and given their winning streak, the Panthers deserve to be favourites to win the thing.
No. No, they're not deserved favourites, but they're the team to beat. They're absolutely team to beat. They've got to still got to walk a tightrope to get to grand final day. Depending on whether or not they can qualify in the top four, but even then a second bite of the cherry is not going to mean much at that time of year. They're probably now going to start favourites in every game they play for the rest of the year, but they've got to win them all as well. So, it's a tough road for them, but I've got no doubt that on their best day is better than everyone else's best day. So whether they can do that, another, how many rounds we've got? 6 rounds left out, another month. So for another 9 or 10 rounds, another 9 or 10 weeks, depending on where they qualify. Now, they've done it before. The problem is, how many have they won in a row now?
4.
They've won, so it's going to be a long run to get there.
Now, they did lose. When they beat Souths, they lost in the first week of the finals. Souths beat them.
That was the first year they won it.
Yes.
That's right, yeah. But I said at the time that was a good thing for them because they'd actually had a soft draw leading into the finals. And that game was just enough to harden them up. And I think they beat Melbourne on the way to the grand final to do it that year. That was they did do it. They've got the ability to do that, but that was years ago.
I think the benefit that they've had, and you'd say this of every team, but being able to get the rest in the finals for the Panthers in particular with the heavy rep schedule that their players have had has always been a benefit to them. But they've been able to rest players a little bit in the last few weeks anyway.
Yeah, look, I don't think the players that count, I mean, as I've said right at the start of the year, they've still got half a dozen of the best players in the world in those particular positions. And then you go to people like Moses Leota and Nick Kenny and Isaac Tungor, and they're well-credentialed NRL players that have been doing this for a long time. They've been training and playing NRL, so they're seasoned performers. They're not going to be worried too much by the workload. The top players in their side are not going to be worried by the workload. They've been through this so many times before. They know what it is. It'll just be the younger fellas who have really improved this year, and the newer players in the team, and them getting to that era and then getting to an extra level of pressure. But with those such great players, in the side, the education process comes much quicker, and the responsibility lies with them, and they're so comfortable in that arena. They're the team to beat. Favoritism's different. Like mathematics, probability says that they're not favourites. They've got to walk such a tightrope to get there. But on sheer ability, they will start favourite in every game they play between now and the end of the year.
So they play Gold Coast Saturday afternoon up there.
Yep.
They go to Newcastle, 6 o'clock Friday night, round 23. They host Melbourne, Thursday night footy, round 24. No Jahrome Hughes for Melbourne. So is it 7 in a row now? So you'd think it'd be 9 in a row going into the Melbourne game. They host Canberra in Mudgee. What a game. And what a time to be in Mudgee. Canterbury, round 26, and then round 27, they play the Dragons. So they've got a run of 3 games in a row where they play Melbourne, Canberra, Canterbury. That's a tough run.
Well, it's a finals run. Yeah, but that's good preparation for the finals. You would like that. If I was coaching a team that was in contention for the premiership, I'd like to be playing those better teams in close proximity to the finals. And I think that's what happened to them in 21. I think in 21 they had such an easy run to the finals, and then they ran into South Sydney, who was coached by Wayne Bennett, and it was a very grinding sort of game. They only got beat, I think, on a penalty goal. There wasn't much in it.
It wasn't, yeah.
And then they went on, and that hardened them up. I said at the time, now that's probably a loss they needed to have. That will harden them up and put them in good stead going forward. And they ended up narrowly winning the grand final. That was the Stephen Crichton intercept night, wasn't
They
it?
only won the grand final by penalty goal margin.
Adam Reynolds had a kick from the sideline to level it up. But they're not premiership favourites, but they are the team to beat. They will start favourite in every game they play for the rest of the year.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Why is that?
I don't know about that.
Well, they'll start favourite in every game they play.
I don't think they'll be favourite against the Bulldogs.
Oh, yes, they will.
He's playing the he's turned into a Queenslander. Underdogs.
What's that?
You want to be underdogs? Mate, the Dogs are outstanding on the weekend. And how good was that game earlier in the year? You mentioned Wayne Bennett and Souths. The old coach will find a way to avoid his first wooden spoon. Oh, you're only saying that out of loyalty.
I'm just thinking the draw there.
Oh, how hard is it? They are ravaged, absolutely ravaged, the poor blokes.
Yeah, I see. They're still in front of the Titans on wins.
Yeah.
Right. So the Titans have still got to win, and the Titans, they can play a part here by not winning another game for the rest of the year. that could save him. So that was my only little Reddit. But yeah, South's about a horror run, terrible run, terrible suspension during the week, terrible. I mean, don't start me on all that.
I can't believe the length of that suspension.
That's just ridiculous. It's Anyway, they've got to fix that. Someone's got to stand up and fix that. Someone's got to stand up for the players and fix that.
They nearly jagged a win on the weekend. Like that was a
They were
pretty
terrific.
ordinary game.
They were terrific. They were absolutely terrific. Like absolutely terrific.
Very committed.
And played without any luck whatsoever. Absolutely terrific. The effort in that was, it was typical Bennett backs to the wall type performance. And, they were very, very unlucky not to win. But
Yes.
That's football. That's the way it goes.
Broncos, Friday night footy on 9. They play the Titans round 23. That might decide the whole thing.
The Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They play Para, they play the Dragons, they play the They could be playing the Roosters in the last week to avoid the wooden spoon.
Mm.
That'd be a good story.
Mm.
Now, they say Cam Murray's going to come back. Would you be bringing him back?
If he was available, yeah, why not? Get him some football before the off-season starts. Yeah, well, all hands on deck.
Yeah, sure. They mightn't have a choice.
They might,
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible, their injury.
But they've also got to address that too. They've got to, and I'm sure they will in review, sit back and say, okay, how much of this was avoidable and how much of it, did we contribute to, and what do we need to do differently so that we don't go through this again. But all teams do that. All teams have a review. The team that wins the premiership will have a review. Everyone has a review at the end of the year. But when you get a run like that, you've got to sit back and have a look at it and work out what you could have done differently, or if you did everything perfectly, but it was just the football gods looking down on you. You don't know.
They're getting on a bit.
What do you mean they're getting on a bit?
A few of their blokes are getting on a little bit. Doesn't get any easier. I mean, Cody Walker's been in and out all year.
But there are a lot of players that are playing well into their 30s these days. Sports science and high-performance training in these days are keeping these fellas going longer. They're dedicated athletes. You shouldn't have, every now and then you'll go through a season. I've been through them. You've been through seasons where every time you turn around, someone only has to cough and they strain a calf muscle. It's just how it works. But when you go back and review everything, you'll find a reason or something that you can improve that can avoid it going forward. So they won't have this happen to them again. But anything that can go wrong has gone wrong this year for the Rabbit.
I know the answer to this question because you've been asked it a few times this week, but Melbourne can't win it without Jahrome Hughes.
No.
So they say he will be back for the finals.
Yeah, I'm not so sure.
It looked pretty bad, didn't it?
Well, not only looked bad, not only the dislocation, and you saw Hamali Olakwatu, same thing the other day. So what happens when they get these dislocations, right? And as I'd always learned, I'm not a medic. I've just been around it for a long time. But as I understand it, there's always a factor around how long the arm was dislocated for and how long the joint was out of the ball was out of the socket type thing. And these are all mitigating factors in recovery time. Now, Haumole Olakau'atu dislocated his shoulder probably 6 or 7 weeks ago. And then they always give you the option. You can go in for immediate surgery. You're probably going to need surgery at some time so that it doesn't recur going into the future. You don't have problems with it. But these days, they can rehab it. They can get it strong. They can put you in a brace. They can limit your arm movement to ensure that it won't, or hope that it won't fall out again. But if you hit the wrong way, it'll come out. Once it's come out once, it'll come out easier the second time. It comes out easier the third time. And people sitting at home who don't even play football, if they've got those sort of issues with their joints, your shoulder will come out rolling over in bed. Like it's just what happens with your body. These athletes don't have to deal with that. But, I'm just saying that what concerned me was the length of time that it took to get the arm back in the socket.
Well, it took the whole second half.
Yeah. They'll always give you the option. Fellas that dislocate, we can rehab this for 6 weeks and maybe you can get through a few games and go from there, depending on how bad the dislocation was and how long it took to get back in and then what their recovery is like. Now, Nathan Cleary, I don't think he fully dislocated his shoulder when it happened. I think Jahrome Luai did, but Jahrome Luai came back and played in the finals and ended up getting replaced in the grand final. Nathan Cleary's a different sort of beast, but as a halfback, he was able to protect himself a little bit. Jahrome Hughes is a smart halfback. He knows the game really well. He's been carrying that shoulder for some time. It's always been muted that he's had some issues. So Haumole Olakau'atu 6 or 7 weeks ago got the same thing, dislocated shoulder, scored a try, landed on the back of his arm, perfect mechanism, shoulder came out, carried him off, got the shoulder back in. All right, we chance of making the finals. Can you get back from the finals? Yeah, we should be able to get him back in 6 weeks. We'll rehab it and see how he goes. He just got caught in the wrong position on Viliame kick-out the other day and bang, it's out again. And he's finished now for the year, so he's got to go and have his operation. I hope Jahrome Hughes comes back. We want the best players playing at the right time of year, and I hope for the Melbourne Storm he's available because it's, comps are hard to win and you need your best players out there. But whether he can come back 100% and do that. And
then how much does it inhibit his performance?
Well, it won't inhibit a lot of his performance, but there will be crucial times in the game where he will be conscious of it, right? He will be conscious of it. So it's his left shoulder that came out. He's right-footed. He's a right arm carry type player. It'll be mainly defensively and then bracing himself if he falls to the ground. As we've seen those extended arms and what have you. And that's the involuntary stuff you can't do. They sort of slide, their arm goes out. There are all sort of mechanisms for it. He's very experienced and he may well get through without a bump, but the opposition won't be treating him lightly and the opposition will know what he's got. So they'll be optimistic that in 6 weeks' time he'll be ready to give it a shot. My suggestion will be is they probably won't do it until it's sudden death situation, depending on where they finish on the ladder. I think while ever they've got a game up their sleeve, particularly the first week of the finals, that if they're in a position where they get 2 bites at it, I doubt they'll throw him in then. I think they'll wait to see if they can then win that game and go through to the preliminary final, which gives him another fortnight. Then he's only got to get through 2 games. Yeah. Or he can get to the grand final and, he can go from there. But what I've said all along is, better than any other club in the league, Melbourne Storm will cope with his, he's a great player, but they will cope. They will cope. In Wishart and Pezzett, they will fill that position and get the job done. And you've got Harry Grant, you've got Cameron Munster, and you've got Ryan Papenhuyzen. You've got 3 of the best in the game at the moment, which no other club in the league can boast, credentials of that spine that they've got. So I've got no doubt in the world that whether he comes back or not, it's not going to change their chances of winning a premiership. Naturally, they'd like to have him there. And if he does play and he is 100%, it will enhance their chances, but I don't think it adversely inhibits their chances.
I think it's so important to their attack, though. There's some numbers around about him not being there and Melbourne not winning and the impact that his absence has on their attack. Obviously, Munster's a great attacking player, but it seems that Hughes, in conjunction with Grant, are the 2 main attacking focal points.
Well, you saw what happened tonight. There was no Munster, no Papenhuyzen and no Jahrome Hughes when he went off. Harry Grant just picked up the slack and won the game on his own. Now, Munster and Papenhuyzen and Grant, that's an awesome spine. They won't need much out of the halfback. They can handle the rest of it themselves. It's different if you miss Jahrome Hughes for a week here or there, or he goes off in a game because you haven't really trained or prepared or mentally got you ready. But now that they know where Jahrome Hughes is, and they're going to get 6 weeks lead into the finals, with him not being there to get it right, I've got no doubt in the world that they'll cope. I just know that they will. I know the Melbourne Storm too well. I know their system too well. I know the coach too well. They will cope. It will look like it'll
Next man up, Gus.
That's 100%. And, Wishart is a tremendous runner of the ball, great competitor. Troy Pezzett is a young fella on the rise, who they've contracted long term in case they lost Jahrome Hughes, so they've got great confidence in him. It's his time. Step up. Cometh the hour, cometh the man.
You're showing your age because it's Troy Pezzett's son, Jonah.
Yeah, Jonah Pezzett, yeah. And sit down and think, all right, well, what does Jahrome provide us? Okay, how do we share that around? How do we account for that? How do we accommodate for that? And it happens sometimes when you've got a dominant player in your team, and they're missing and they roll out all these stats that when he's not playing, you lose. Well, yeah, of course it hurts. But then when you sit down and actually look at it and say, all right, well, what does he do? What do we have to do to replace that? And if we can't replace it, what do we do instead? And the Melbourne Storm will have it worked out, mate. They won't flinch.
I can't begin to emphasise how big a win that was for them with respect to their position on the ladder. Because had they have lost in that close game on last Thursday, 7 days ago, they're on 30 points, no Hughes, and they've got the Sharks. Well, the Sharks are on 26, but they're actually on 28 because they've got 11 wins. Then Penrith a point further back. The Warriors have sort of got the staggers at the moment. But that would have put Melbourne in a very precarious position. And like you say, they'd be banking on making the 4 and hopefully getting through the first week to give him an extra week off. But that is such a massive win for them. Massive.
Yeah, well, all 2 points are important at different times. But Melbourne have been down this road so many times. They can do it any number of ways. They can be minor premiers, they can be running 5th or 6th, and they can still get it right in September and win a premiership. And, they're the premiership favourites at the moment. You asked me about the Panthers, and that's why I'm saying Panthers aren't premiership favourites at this stage. Just probability-wise and mathematically, they're not premiership favourites, but they'll start favourite in every game they play. And it'll be an awesome effort if they can get through a win. And, the Melbourne Storm are very, very similar. They're well-credentialed and highly experienced, and they've got the winning coach and the winning players, and, they'll handle it well, mate. I've got no doubt about that.
Melbourne coach Craig Bellamy concedes any rival with a fair bit of money loom as a threat to the NRL with his star fullback Ryan Papenhuyzen in the sights of our mates at Rugby 360 after re-signing Jahrome Hughes until the end of 2030, which is a big story coming out of Melbourne this week. Bellamy's hoping Papenhuyzen remains a key member of his spine, but he has been approached and has had dialogue, in fact, with the people at Rugby 360. We know Pappy's missed a lot of football, so I'm sure he would be torn with respect to his loyalty to the club because they've stuck by him. Well, he missed the best part of 2 or 3 seasons, really. But they're offering him what they're saying is around $1.5 million a year. It is a lot of money for a player who, I don't know, is he in the back end? He's towards the second half of his career. He's still got a lot of footy left, Pappy, especially given how much he missed. But they've based their roster around keeping the spine together, and that's been their priority. So I'm wondering whether this nucleus of the Melbourne Storm squad is, I don't know, is it about to be pulled apart? Is they about to lose one of the pieces? It's a lot of money.
Well, salary cap will do that to you. And the demand for players at the moment has never been more intense than it is. And if there is also the lure of a rival code and some big money elsewhere at that stage of their career, that's also a consideration. We've got new franchises coming into the competition, which always leads to an inflation, and it gives the managers the power to negotiate harder, and it makes clubs a little bit nervous. Really interesting times coming up in the next 6 to 12 months around rosters and management and new franchises coming in. Ryan Papenhuyzen, to me, strikes me as someone who is extremely loyal to the Melbourne Storm, and the Melbourne Storm. The way I feel about it is that if they were to win a premiership, it might change his mind about moving on and doing something else. But I think he's fairly committed with this playing group to winning a premiership. I think they're disappointed of losing last year to the Panthers after rebuilding their side in the previous years. I think they want to get through and do this together. That's why I think Munster, Grant and Papenhuyzen will be very motivated this year, even if Hughes doesn't play. But what happens in the future with Ryan Papenhuyzen? Well, if someone's going to throw that stupid money at you, I suppose he can consider it. Would he be happy playing in that game? I highly doubt it. Does money make you happy? No, it doesn't. Can you play this game for money? No, you can't. You can't play this game for money, and you can't play this game because someone else wants you to do it. That's not the motivation you need. And there are plenty that have tried. There are plenty that have tried to play this game for money. There are plenty that have taken the big meal and realised that that's not all it's meant to be. And when you think back on your career when it's over, it's not the money you remember. There's a lot of other things. And I think Ryan Papenhuyzen is a really level-headed young man. I think he's got great corporate support. He seems to be an ambassador for a couple of things in the country. And
he's a good fella.
Yeah, he's a great bloke, great young man. He's a talent. You know, he got paid every dollar for the years that he missed out when he was injured.
Absolutely.
So, you know, he'll have some loyalty there. So, you know, reports of offers from here and there, that's sometimes management, you know, wielding their power to extract more money for whatever on behalf of their client. I don't think that'll be coming from Ryan Papenhuyzen. I don't think Ryan Papenhuyzen is giving anything a thought other than winning a premiership for the Melbourne Storm. There'd be nothing on. He wouldn't even be thinking about his future at that stage. He's contracted till the end of 26 anyway. You know, so it's not even on his mind, mate. I guarantee you, it's not on his mind about what his future is.
So I did a little bit of research about this Rugby 360 and spoke to a few people, and I understand they're offering US bucks. And it's tax-free because they're based in the Emirates somewhere. It's a big threat.
Big threat to what?
Well, if they want to pick and choose players. For instance, Kalen Ponga, he could earn something like $3 million Australian dollars a season with them.
Good luck to him.
Good money.
Good luck to him. Be careful what you wish for. Money's not everything, my friend.
No, well, no, but that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, yeah. But you still got to go through and perform, and you still got to get across there. I mean, there's job satisfaction and lifestyle and where you're living and whatever. I mean, I don't know anything about Rugby 360. I got no idea. And to be honest, a lot of our NRL players, the vast majority of our NRL players couldn't play rugby if they start. They just can't. They can't play that game. It's a different game. It's not as transferable as what people think. I've seen some of our stars go to rugby and they're pretty hopeless at it.
Got to learn the rules firstly.
Well, you've got to learn the rules. You don't get the ball anyway. I remember when Lottie Dakiri went. Remember when Lottie Dakiri, I've told this story before, when Lottie Dakiri went to rugby?
Yeah.
Right? And he was a Queenslander, so he played for the Waratahs.
Yeah,
well, that was
naturally.
That was a great move straight away. So I was writing columns for the Sydney Morning Herald.
Wendell Saylor played for New South Wales.
Yeah. So I'm writing columns for the Sydney Morning Herald. They said, can you go out to the rugby game, the interstate game, and write a column on Lottie Dakiri's first game in rugby? I said, why would I want to do that? Oh, it'd just be interesting to get a take. You know, Lottie Dakiri's playing rugby. So out I go, and I usually sit behind the grandstand. It was drizzling rain. Sit behind the goalpost. It was drizzling rain. I think Lottie Dakiri touched the ball once. He never got the ball. Never got the ball. Never looked like getting the ball. So I wrote a column bagging rugby, and they never asked me to go again. I get people sending me clips on, you go out and try and watch a young rugby. There's a young rugby player playing for this school. Go out and watch him. You go out there. You can sit there for 3 days. You might not get the ball. I don't understand the game. I don't bag it. A lot of people love rugby. It's a great sport, and but it's different. Our rugby league players can't play that game, and theirs can't play our game.
Mark Nwang and Nitawasi would disagree.
Yeah, well, there are real talents there, but it's different, mate. It's different. It's not always transferable. Off you go. Take the money.
Well, Ponga played as a kid.
Well, good luck to him. Good luck to him.
Matt Rogers made a good fist of rugby, didn't he? He was a properly skillful player.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not sure what we solved there, but Pappy's staying in Melbourne according to Gus. Now, Gussie boy, you reckon when you pay your money at the gates, you're allowed to boo?
Yeah.
What do you reckon Lachlan Galvin's ready for this week?
Yeah.
You reckon they'll give it to him?
Don't know. Don't care.
What are you guessing? What's your guess?
I don't know.
What's he waiting for?
Nothing. Nothing.
They've had it circled. The Tigers fans have had it circled in the drawer for a while. Mind you, this isn't the first time that they've had someone walk out on them. And they want to get their revenge.
This game will come and go.
Is he a pretty level-headed kid?
Extremely level-headed kid. Yeah, extremely. Quite unflappable, actually. Very, very mature beyond his years. Yeah, it's going to be a tough afternoon for him. Of course it will be. And I've got no doubt he'll be targeted, but that's football, mate. These are the things we face.
Do players sledge anymore?
I haven't been on the field for a long time. I'd imagine they sledge a little bit.
You wouldn't have the breath to sledge, would you? You'd be knackered.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Sledging in the old days was outstanding.
Well, I'll get to that. But I'm wondering who in the West Tigers team would be a sledger. Like, I'm looking at their lineup and I'm not seeing much sledging there.
Oh, Jahrome can be mouthy.
Well, that's true. He's the obvious one.
Yeah. They'll be. Look, they'll all be too busy playing, mate. They'll have their game plan and they'll be ready to go. They've got their best side of the season and they've actually got everyone fit and well this week and they're ready to go. So if they've been circling in the calendar, they've arrived with their best team on the right day. They'll be hard to beat.
I reckon Appy would be good with us, with a little cheeky barb, a little sledge.
Probably.
They'd be the two.
Yeah. But they'll just all, that'll come and go. That's for the fans to worry about. Not so much for the players out there. They'll have more on their mind than that.
So I called Sunday's game, feels like an eternity ago now, for radio. I called it with Daryl, big barn. And I have to commend the Canterbury club. That was a tremendous celebration of that 1995 premiership to see all the old boys there. And actually, and he's an emotional bloke, Daryl, but I reckon there was a tear in his eye there because I sort of said to him, when you win a premiership with a club, you sort of become a brotherhood. And he obviously was part of your 84 premiership team. So I think he kind of felt, even though he wasn't immediately involved, I think he sort of feels like the culture of the club is being built off the success of the teams that have gone in yesteryear. But it was a great day, and the fans embraced it. It was so good to see the old players there, and it was great to see. I love the old jumpers, like the 95 style jumper.
Yeah. So respect the past, create the future. I mean, it's the Bulldogs has had a great history and a successful history, and it needs to be celebrated. And the current day people, we're about building the club for the future, the past is the past, and it has to be respected and it has to be celebrated. There was an opportunity in this game to go back to Allianz Stadium and celebrate the 1995 team, which was 30 years ago. It was Manly versus Canterbury. That's why they chose the 95 team to celebrate on that day in that grand final that Canterbury won. But on a larger scale, our management, administrative and commercial team at the Bulldogs have done an outstanding job this year, absolutely outstanding job. And look at the crowds we've been getting for the last 18 months. I mean, we've set some of the records for home crowds. The fan base has been cultivated. This has come after a period of time where they didn't make the finals for 8 years. They had a couple of wooden spoons and they were really down in the dumps, and things have turned around remarkably over the last couple of seasons, and the crowd has supported it. We took that game to Allianz. We got 25,000, and it's a brilliant stadium, wonderful stadium. 25,000 there felt so great on Sunday. And our commercial team do a wonderful job. Our club does a wonderful job of respecting the past and keeping all those great eras involved as they come along. And the players would have enjoyed it. Terry Lamb had a tear in his eye. In that 95 team, some of those blokes hadn't seen each other since grand final day 1995.
Seriously?
Hadn't seen each other since that time.
Wow.
They hadn't seen John Timu since grand final day.
Where'd they track him down?
Oh,
does he live in New Zealand?
Luke Goodwin would have found him. I don't know where he found him, but he would have found him. So, yeah, they're getting on those blokes. But Terry Lamb in particular, who was emotional about it and wrote all our staff a lovely email the day after about how much it meant to him and what it meant on the day. And they had a wonderful time. They actually went and had a jersey presentation with today's team on the night before. So they went into camp the night before. We put the 95 team in camp in the same hotel. Had to put them in a different bar, obviously. So
we'll be questioning the wisdom of that.
They had to go to a different dinner venue. Yeah. They came to. They went and had a jersey presentation, and it was funny because as they're presenting the jerseys, they're looking at the old players up against the current day players and how big our players were, and it was quite a funny sort of presentation thing. And they celebrate that. They put it out on social media. The crowds that we've had this year, like 65,000 and 60,000, and we're going to average over 30,000 for the season, which is a tremendous result. And that's how I think football in Sydney should look. That's how it should be cultivated to look. But The Bulldogs, I still think, are the biggest club in the game, or eventually will be at one stage. So that's our aim. And they've done a terrific job this year, and the players have backed it up with on-field performances. It was a great day. It was a good win.
It was a hell of a performance.
And you've got to come down off that and get ready for the Tigers this week. So it's it's not easy.
Anyway, back to sledging. Who was the biggest sledger you played against?
Oh, they all sledged. Everyone sledged. Tommy was the biggest sledger. Craig Coleman was a great sledger.
Oh, Craig Coleman.
But he stuttered. But he'd eventually get it out.
It's hard to be a sledger when you've got a speech impediment.
He didn't have a speech impediment. He was just, his mouth was going too fast for his brain. He could sledge.
What about blokes you played with? You played with Tommy.
Tommy. Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah. There were some funny ones over the years. The old timers were very, very funny. Great days. Great days. That's why we can't have microphones on the field.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to back then.
No, you wouldn't.
Did the ref used to sledge? Did the ref give you
on the old days, yeah, they gave as good as they got.
Give us an example.
No, they gave as good as they got.
Like Greg Hartley?
Oh, yeah, he'd tell you, he'd abuse you. Yeah, absolutely. He'd abuse you.
What was the one? What was it him when the lady ran on the field and whacked
him? Yeah.
What was that about?
Oh, I think it was some Parramatta. She ran out and something. He gave a penalty away, or he sent someone to sin bin. She came out and gave him a lecture. The old days, it was good.
Oh, you should sit down with some of your players and show them some of the stuff that went down in the day. They'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Too funny. Right. So how good are the Raiders, you might be wondering? 17 wins, 3 losses after 21 rounds. I spoke to my man Middo. This record puts them in the same company as some of the best teams of the NRL over the last decade. Here's a list of teams that stand beside them. Teams to win 16 games or more after 21 rounds in the last 10 years include the Panthers of 22. They won the comp.
The Panthers have won 22.
The Panthers of 21. They won the comp. As did Souths, who made the grand final, as did Melbourne, who were the minor premiers of that year. The Storm of 2019 had the same record at this stage of the year. They were minor premiers. In 2016, Cronulla and Melbourne had the same record. Cronulla won the comp. Melbourne were the grand finalists. The The Raiders have been beaten once since round 4. That was by Canterbury, who they led 20-0 and lost 32-20. They're aiming for a 10th win in a row this weekend. And when you put this all into perspective, they started the year by going to Vegas. They went to Townsville. They went to Darwin. They didn't have a bye since round 15. This is one of the great seasons they're putting together.
Absolutely.
One of the great seasons.
Absolutely. I as you know, I went to Vegas this year, all right, just to do a bit of reconnaissance because the Bulldogs were keen to go, and we've made the decision we are going, and we've been awarded that luxury by the NRL. But I was going around to all the training venues, and I ran into Ricky Stewart and the Raiders. They've got the gym that everyone uses over there. There's a gym, a UFC gym, world class. It's the headquarters for UFC worldwide in Vegas, and the gymnasium that they use there has got all facilities, all rehab and medical and weights and wrestle areas and all that sort of thing as well. And it's in close proximity to some of the training grounds that they get them to train on. The training grounds aren't super, but they're adequate. But the gym itself is world class. And when I got there, the Raiders were there training, so not really keeping an eye on what they were doing, but just looking at the facilities they were using. And they were mainly going there just to recover after a training session. So they were using, spas and saunas and massage and all that sort of stuff as well. And Ricky Stewart was there. But I said to him, gee, they look fit. He said, yeah, they're fit. They're really fit. Now, they went out and played the Warriors that night, and Warriors were favourites, and they towed the Warriors up, and they just look fit and fast. I said to him after the game, I said, they look fit and they look fast. They've got speed. Now, the Warriors were made to look ordinary on that night. I think Warriors won 9 of their next 10 or something or other, coming out, and so they didn't beat slouches. They beat the Warriors, who were in very good form at the start of the season, and they've just carried it on themselves. And that's the way the season's gone. They've been too fit and too fast. They're playing for 80 minutes. They've got so many points in them. They can score from anywhere on the field. They've come from behind to win. He's got them going really, really well, and they've got a good chemistry going there. And winning premierships is much about this. There's this Not so much mystical thing, but there's this element called chemistry that's really important. You can have talent and you can have experience, you can have all that, but sometimes you can just feel it if you're a part of it. Everything comes together at the right time. It's the right stage of each player's career at that time, and younger players coming in and whatever it is. But there all of a sudden there is a chemistry there, and you can see it in their football. You can see it in their body language, and
there's a togetherness about that team.
Well, exactly. They're very, very connected. They're very connected. There's not too much the opposition can throw at them that they don't have the answer or they haven't got a positive response to it. In previous years, they could beat anybody and lose to anybody. They could lead games by 20 points and get beaten. They could be 20 behind and win. That's just how the Raiders were. They could lose from seemingly impossible positions, or win from impossible positions, and they were inconsistent from first half to second half. This is in previous years. This year, there's been a consistency about their intensity and a consistency about and they never look flustered. They never look sort of. They never look as though they're confused or they look as though it's beyond them. And whatever the challenge is, they seem to be able to rise to it. So he's got them going extremely well. They're very fit. The plus side for them is I think they've only used 22 players. I think they've used less players than any team in the competition by a long way, not by a couple, by a long way. So they've had a very, very steady group. If there was to be injuries to keep, and hope that doesn't happen, but if there was to be injuries to key players, then replacements haven't had a lot of time or experience in that top grade with this group at the moment. So that could be a negative. But they're going to be minor premiers. Nothing is going to stop that. They've only got to win one, and then they're in the preliminary final. Which
they'll host in Canberra.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just history shows you. You've just gone through it yourself. Teams that are dominant during the rounds, generally, go close to winning the premiership. Now, whether they're ready to win it this year at that time of the year depends on who they play. If they come up against a Melbourne Storm or a Panthers, then maybe that finals experience just might be a little bit too much from this time around, which would only steel them for next year. The age of their side, they're going to be good for a few seasons with this group and only going to get better. Next year they'll be better than this year. So they're
losing their halfback though.
They've done a great job. Yeah, but they've got the young ones coming through. They'll replace him.
Yeah.